Yeah, because I have a friend whose wife had been abused when she was young. And the marriage went well for a long time. And then stuff started to come up to the surface. And the wife said, you know, honey, in counseling, all this stuff is starting to come up, and I just can't be close to you in that way right now. And the husband, good man, I totally get it, honey. You know, we can be abstinent, and then a week of abstinence went by, and then a month, and then 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. And now he's
to be clear, because I know who you're talking about, it was a serious thing this woman was processing. It wasn't just like, oh, I feel fat.
No. She had been, sexually abused as a little girl, and all the flashbacks are coming back. And so, good man, said, I totally get it. And a week, month, several months go by, and now he's really wrestling with God because he had a broken idea of masculinity. That when a woman is sexually responsive to me, I feel more manly, and when even my own bride is frigid towards me, I just feel like less of a man. But by staying on that cross of abstinence, he was becoming more of a man to her than any man had ever been. And through his affliction, she was healed. And through her affliction, he was healed, and they came back together stronger than ever. But imagine if instead of understanding that abstinence was an expression of love, he became pouty, distant, whiny, demanding, unfaithful, whatever, his woundedness would have only infected hers. But by realizing that he's living the mass in his body, I'm giving up my body for love of my bride, the church, it healed the both of them to go through that cross. And I think in the same way, I think we've both been healed through afflictions in ways that we could never have been healed had we had the marriage that we had planned.
It's all about also intentions, your intentions behind. Like, are you really taking care of your wife? Or is this something that it's okay right now? Or are you just like, no, I need this. I need a release. I need to, I need my wife right now. But is it for the wrong reasons? Or are you really taking care of her? Are you really like putting her in the forefront of things? Or is this about your selfish like desires and wants and your needs and your urges or whatever else? Like, you need to look at yourself and your intentionality of why you're doing something. And if you can't take that sober look and it be pure, you got to go deal with yourself, and do what needs to be done. But I think if we all can really look at things in that frame, it kind of orders things, but if we could be honest in a sobering way about our intentions, it kind of...
Thomas Aquinas in the Summa Theologiae says that if a man or a woman, has each other, but basically, I don't know his exact words, but it's something like, just because she's a legitimate outlet and I would just as well have someone else, then a man commits or a woman commits grave sin. And that can be that's a scary thing to realize about yourself. You're like, oh, wow, am I doing this because of her? I love her, or...
Yeah, because you think that God the Father's daughters were never created to be outlets for anything. And if I'm beginning to view her in that way or any other woman, then I'm out of my place as a man. Like that, my daughters will never be an outlet for a man who can't contain his own lust. It's like, that's not why she exists. So, but I think it's important to have these just super frank conversations, because a lot of times when couples are going through this, or a guy is going through a season of abstinence in his own marriage for 4, 5, 6, 7 months, and beyond, like we've gone through, you can start to do a little self-pity job on yourself. And I think that the devil gets right in there as soon as you start feeling sorry for yourself. And you need to be able to grieve in an authentic way with Christ and others, the loss of what should be there in a healthy and human way. But in the absence of being able to process the grief, because they say trauma isn't that something bad happened to you. Trauma is suffering in a lack of an empathetic witness, that you're just going through this and nobody can see it. But if you can vent that with a good spiritual director, a band of brothers or whatever, then they can legitimize the grief that you're feeling. But in the absence of that, all you're left with is self-pity. And then you try to give justification to particular outlets of just like, I've been such a good boy, I deserve this, I deserve that. And so we need to learn how to properly grieve. So I think conversations like this are super helpful. There's so many guys out there, and perhaps even women going through seasons of abstinence in their marriage, where it's just like, I am literally must be the only person on earth going through this. And to hear, wait a minute, the Frads have gone through it, the Everetts have gone through it, like, I don't know, it just takes a lot of pressure out.
I don't think we ever realized how much of a lie pornography was. And whatever the equivalent is, maybe it's Hollywood shows about families and married life, what have you. But I think we all, once we became Christians and started repenting of pornography, we realized, oh yeah, that's a lie. But I don't think, even as a 42-year-old man, that I realize how deep that lie has gone into my heart. You have an excellent quote. You say that marriage is not the fulfillment of pornography. Pornography is the distortion of love. But I think to recognize that we all kind of, with a couple of caveats, we just thought, no, it is the fulfillment of pornography in a sense. Like, this is what I get to do now.
Yeah.
And so when issues arise and you think, well, what's wrong with me? Or what's wrong with her that she's a human? How dare she be?
Yeah. No, but porn is the ultimate counterfeit of the beatific vision. Because what we ultimately long for is not just to see and behold beauty and all of its greatness. Like, people think that's the allure of porn, just seeing all this beauty one after the other. To me, there's a deeper thing, and it's being seen by beauty and be desired by it. Because for most men, you know, the way that women look at you in posters and commercials, they don't look at me like that in real life. Like, you know, I mean, those faces we don't see anywhere. And to be able to immerse yourself in that world where it feels like she's seeing me and she wants me, you know. But then when you get out of that world, it's just, I mean, the crush afterwards of realizing how bogus it was all. Because to me, the deepest desire of the human heart is to be seen and loved and desired. And ultimately, only God can give that to us. But in the absence of that divine consolation, we seek out the carnal pleasures.
That's really well put.
I think it all goes back to that intentionality, too, of why you're doing something. And that just doesn't go for the bedroom. I think that can go for everything that you're doing, you know, and why you're doing it and how you're living out your marriage, how you're living out just your day and day life. And is it right ordered? Because if you're like, okay, well, what are my real intentions behind this? Because on the outside, it can look like, oh, we're really good and we're holy and I'm doing this thing. But at the end of the day, is it your distorted like vices just filling your ego and that's why you're doing it? Or are you really a good, holy person doing this because it's the will of God, you know, and asking yourself, like, what are your intentions behind doing this? And then I started to have to ask myself, well, why am I doing this? You know, and those are sobering, hard things to look at. And I do it in adoration. And I think if Jason and I weren't so Eucharistic, I mean, we would destroy ourselves. If we didn't have the church, we didn't have the sacraments, it'd be, I think everyone would, right? But we have that grace of God to help us kind of maneuver and guide, because I don't think people realize on a daily the spiritual warfare that they're facing and how much of it is spiritual. And I hate when people say, well, don't over spiritualize it. I'm like, well, you're not spiritualizing it enough. Like, get on board here, okay? Like, this is a reality. So get over yourself or your insecurities or being like intimidated by spiritual warfare. Like, that's movies and exorcist kind of thing. That's not my life. I'm like, oh, more than you know, it's your life, you know? And people need to kind of wake up to your marriage is under attack. All of hell is going to come after you and your children. Are you ready? Period. Yeah. And most men aren't. Most women aren't. And then I think it's upside down where married people don't know kind of their roles in that. Like, the man is the spiritual leader. He is the spiritual head, but because they don't want to do it or know how, or they're intimidated by it, or they didn't see their dad do it, then the women take it on. And it's distorted right off the bat when you're trying to fight the evil one, but it's like, it's not how it's supposed to be, but it's what's having to happen right now when it needs to be flipped. But God bless those women that are just trying and advocating and praying and fasting, you know, because your marriage does need that. But at the end of the day, the man is the one that needs to be the protector and leading and guiding spiritually. It's so important, because if he can't put that up and he just has the gate wide open, you know, and the woman's there trying to like fight that.
Thank you very much for watching that Pints with Aquinas clip. If you like it, do me a favor, click like and subscribe, and please offer a Hail Mary for the work of Pints with Aquinas and all the people we're trying to reach. God bless you.